I think I need a longer cable for the mic. Anyway, hi there and welcome back to another episode of the American Road Trip series. For those who are new to this channel, this is a series about a road trip that we took last year, and by last year I mean 3 weeks ago, across the west and the southwest of the United States. I'm releasing 1 to 2 new episodes every week because it takes a little bit of time to make them. As most of you should know by now, I shoot film. I develop, scan and process the photos here at home by myself. All that whole process plus editing the video is quite a little bit of work, so that's why it's gonna take me a few weeks to finish all this road trip series. But yeah, episode 14, Mendocino County, still in Northern California, a little bit farther south, but still Northern California technically. Mendocino County is a beautiful stretch of the coast in California that I had never visited before. We stayed there for a few days in Fort Bragg, that is a small town some 10 minutes north of Mendocino. So at this place I finally had the time to go around and explore on my own. I had some 2.5 to 3 full days there, and I believe, or I like to believe, that this shows in the video that you're gonna see now because the quality of the photos is much higher, or at least I like them more than the ones I took previously in other places like the Fern Canyon or the Redwoods, where I didn't have too much time. I'll be talking a little bit about some of these photos at the end of the video, so if you want to know how I took them, why I took them, or I don't know, whatever comments I might have about them, yeah, that is coming at the end. But first, let's play the video about Mendocino County, and I hope you enjoy it. Alright, welcome back, and let's go through these photos real quick. So I wanted to show you first these two photos I took in Mendocino, in the actual town of Mendocino. This was the first one that I took. It was with the Rolleiflex. I wanted to take a photo of these birds on top of these figures. I don't know if they are angels or what. I don't remember what this building was. I think it was some kind of library or community building. Yeah, I thought they looked pretty cool. But of course, it didn't work with a Rolleiflex, because I think it's like a, I don't know, 70, 80 millimeter lens, so it's not close enough or long enough to capture that. But I still think the shot works. Like, the building it's pretty nice, although it was not what I was after. But anyway, HP5 did a pretty good job here in the sky, retaining the detail of the clouds. It was the dynamic range was pretty wide here, and pretty good job. So I came back later with the Bronic, and I was using the 150 millimeter lens here, trying to take what I saw first in this scene, that it was the birds on top of these figures, but it was not close enough. I should have gone back to the car and picked my 250. I think that would have been much better, but I still came with this shot that I like. Okay, talking about dynamic range, I wanted to show you once again these two photos. HP5 once again did a pretty good job. I had a lot of detail here, or enough detail in the foreground. It was kind of dark, it was pretty bright here, but I decided to, well, I shot this photo or this image with that idea in mind, is to have the silhouettes of the tree. So I knew that I was going to remove every detail possible here from the foreground. I just darkened the thing here, so I just turned the blacks down a lot, and yeah, this is more or less what I had in mind. I took another exposure with Luna and Rachel there. I think it's nice. It's a nice photo, and I like it. Once again, looking for the silhouettes of the trees. There is some detail on the trees, but not too much, and that's kind of what I wanted. Okay, this is one of I think my favorite image from this trip, or this Mendocino area. So this was in the Mendocino Headlands, and I saw this rock, this natural bridge. I knew that I wanted a long exposure here, so I was setting everything up, putting the filter on the lens, and getting ready, looking for the right composition. And then this guy comes, sorry, and stays there for a few minutes. I wait a little bit. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure that he's gonna leave. He was not doing anything. He was just looking at the ocean. I respect that. That's totally fine. But I was looking for the photo, and this was a sunset time, so I wasn't going to have light for too much longer. So I just decided to go for it and take the long exposure. I thought that he was going to move anyway in a few minutes, but he did not. So this was a 9 to 10 minute long exposure. I don't remember, something like that. And he stood there. He didn't move at all for like 5 minutes, and then he left. So I knew at that point that he was going to be in the shot, but I thought it was going to be fine, because you know, it would be pretty easy to remove him from here in Lightroom or Photoshop. But I scanned this photo and I saw him there, and since he didn't move at all, the silhouette is pretty well defined. As you can see, you can even tell that he had his arms behind his back. I loved it. I titled this photo Ghosts of Mendocino, because he looked like a ghost, and I decided to leave him there. So thank you very much, wherever you were, for not moving for 5 minutes. That was pretty awesome. I like how the light grows through the bridge. You can still see some of the rocks here. I really like this photo, and I'm really happy with it. Okay, so this day was pretty foggy and rainy. I wanted to capture the drama of this landscape here, and I don't know if you can tell on my photos, but I'm always looking for mostly layers, because I think that I know it fits really well with the square format. I'll have to talk about this on a different video, but I'm always looking for those layers. So I placed some of the ground here as a introduction to the photo. Is a way to enter the photo, and then the main subject of this photo would be the rocks and the coast here, and then a whole lot of empty space. Now the problem with this empty space is of course the power lines, because in this country it looks like there are power lines everywhere. So I tried with different lenses, with longer lenses, but the crop of this image just wouldn't work for what I wanted to do. As I said, I wanted the 3 layers. I tried to compress them like vertically, so that I wanted 2 very thin layers here. And if I did that with a longer lens, I could be, you know, like missing a lot of this landscape that I wanted to include. So I just decided to embrace the power lines and whatever, you know. I can always remove them in post. Once again, the same that happened with the previous photo. I saw the result in this guy, and in the previous case was the guy. In this case, the power lines. I kind of like them for some reason, and yeah, I decided to leave them there. I know. Okay, the next few photos were taken at the Point Arena. I love that place. I love it so much. Actually went back the next weekend to Point Arena, to this lighthouse. That's gonna be in the next video, in episode 15. There are gonna be more places, but this is one of them. And I took a bunch of long exposures there. As you can see, these rocks were pretty cool. They were all aligned, like in a line. You can see even more here. You can see all of these. I know, it was pretty cool. I know that the San Andreas Fault enters the ocean here, is where it leaves the land. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the formation of these rocks here. I don't think so. I don't know if that's the case or not, but they looked pretty cool. And I love this one. I love the details on this rock. And you can see all the layers, multiple layers on the rock. It was very cool to see in person. Okay, another long exposure I took there, it was this one. I don't know if you can tell, but these are sea lions. I was hoping that they couldn't move too much. I mean, they were moving a little bit, but they are sea lions after all. And yeah, they did not move too much. They are still kind of sharp somehow. So I loved this photo too. It's probably my second favorite after the one from the natural bridge. You can see these are pretty cool seaweeds. I don't know what they are. They look like trees, and they were like forming some forests or something. I know what they are called, but they were pretty cool. And look at this one, it's very nice. There were some rocks in the background. The waves were breaking all over the place here, so I knew that it was going to create this kind of effect on the rocks, and then the sea lions would be the main subject. Again, on the bottom of the photo, I tried to place this dark layer that I love in photos. I was worried about this. There is some water here. I don't know if you can tell. I thought it could distract from the rest of the photo, but it doesn't really. I can always crop it a little bit more too, although I will be missing this rock, I guess. But yeah, I love the curve to the water here. This is not a river or anything like that. I took this photo this way to create maybe the illusion, if you will, of this river. I mean, it was an idea that I tried. I think it kind of worked, but this was all connected. This is the sea and they are just rocks. There is no river here. Okay, more photos. These are from Fort Bragg, from that crazy sunset that you could see in the last minutes of the video. I tried to capture. This was a very cloudy day, the whole day, and only the very last 10 minutes of the day, the sun decided to come out and show itself. It was insanely beautiful. Everyone was freaking out there, like seriously, the people were screaming. So it was pretty cool. And I tried to take photos of the waves here on their peak, like when they start to break. But I gave up because there is only so many exposures you can take with film. I didn't know if they were working or not. So I decided to go with my regular composition, or whatever you want to call it. That is, once again, the layers. As you can see, once again, a very dark layer here. This is the ground. Then you can see the ocean, the sea with some waves, and then the sun, and then a lot of empty space. The main subject is the sun, so it's the first thing that you see, and then you travel down with through the layers. Once again, the same here. Only 2 layers in this case, but very dark one on the bottom. You can see some waves, not many details, but still enough. And the empty space, but in this case it has detail of the clouds to add some drama. As you can see, it got a little bit grainy, trying to recover that detail there, but it's still there. So thank you very much, HP5 again. That's why I use it. Okay, this was in Fort Bragg too. This is a cool bridge there on the beach. It's a boardwalk, I believe. Yeah, this was not for cars or anything. It's just for pedestrians. I tried to take these birds again, and I failed again. The silhouettes were not that cool, and they were once again too far to appreciate the birds there. But you can see the 5 here and 1 here. I think it would have been much better with a longer lens, maybe just focusing on the birds and this cool structure from the bridge instead of trying to get the whole thing. My favorite photo from that bridge though is this one. This was the previous one. This one was before sunset. This one was after sunset, and as you can tell, the lighting is pretty different. But I damaged this negative developing the photo, and that's such a bummer because I really like how this photo turned out. I like the composition, I like the reflection here. I know, it's such a bummer. I don't know if I can fix this in Photoshop or Lightroom. I don't think so. But yeah, it's a bummer. Okay, this photo, I took it coming back from Point Arena. As you can tell, it's foggy and rainy. And I tried to isolate this tree with the 250mm lens. I think it worked for the most part. I don't really like the 2 bushes here that are pretty dark and kind of distracting from the main subject. That it should have been the only subject. But I liked the way this tree looked at first. I like the foreground, once again layers almost in the middle, separating the 2 layers in this photo plus the main subject here. The background or whatever it was behind these trees really bright compared to the tree, so it creates a great contrast. It gets darker on the sides because these trees were closer to me. That's why these other ones are brighter. So everything was in place for what it would have been a great photo in my opinion, but these 2 things bother me a lot. I might have to work on that in post, trying to remove them, but I don't really like to do that because it doesn't usually look that well. It looks pretty fake, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Okay, moving to the last 2 ones because I've been talking for a long time already. This house was on the edge of this cliff and it was pretty cool. I knew I had to take this photo. It was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, people came out of this house and they were walking their dog on the edge of this cliff, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Although it was not as dramatic as it might look here because this house had, of course, some land here. It was like a very narrow piece of land where they were like, I don't know, walking to and from the house. But I tried to avoid that because this way looks even more dramatic. But yeah, pretty cool house. I don't know if I agree with letting people building houses so close to the ocean, but yeah, I took this long exposure there and I think it looks pretty cool. And the last photo here, once again, you see layers again and again. It's what I think works for a square format. I don't think I have all the answers for this. I don't know if it's the right thing or not, but I love them. So that's what I tried to do here: a very dark foreground, a very light background, and putting the mountains from the Lost Coast. I think this is the King Range, or at least the beginning of it. Maybe I didn't use any filters here, and maybe some yellow or orange filter might have helped a little bit, trying to make these mountains stand out a little bit more. Maybe not, I know, but yeah, I like it in general how it turned out. Pretty cool. So yeah, these are the photos I wanted to talk about, 18 photos. I think I've been talking for a long time already, so thanks for watching. See you in the next one, I hope pretty soon.